Hello friends, welcome back to yet another episode on Career Conversation series, and thank you so much for your encouragement by watching and listening to these episodes both on YouTube and on podcast. It was really wonderful, and I'm equally excited in sharing these experiences and bringing these from time to time to your notice. And the only objective of these videos or podcasts are basically to raise that awareness, share that experience, so that as viewers, as parents and students, you can resonate, or as mentors, you can resonate and pick up some value add out of those experiences. Sometimes it's easy to learn from others' mistakes, isn't it? But of course, you can make always new mistakes. That's fine. But yet, here is another episode, as I mentioned. Let's get to the topic. But before we get to a topic, I have a couple of questions for you. Are you a risk manager or are you a risk taker? Well, it depends. Some of you may say I'm risk taker. Some of you may say that I'm a risk manager, very good risk manager, which is fair point. Now the question doesn't end there. How well are you taking your risks? How well are you planning your risks? Do you take an informed risk or do you take an uninformed risk? Well, it depends on our personality, on our approach, on our perception towards risk. Right? Now you must be wondering, what is this risk? I've been talking. What does this have to do with this Career Conversations episode? Well, here is a story I would like to share with you. In fact, this is a story of two different students of a similar, it's a similar example, similar nature, I must say. So that is why I brought in both of them together in one episode. The discussions or the experience with two different students in two different occasions, I've thought of bringing it together in one episode here because they're relevant. So student number one is basically a girl who is in 10th grade. That is when I started mentoring this child, early 10th grade onwards. So of course we have done some psychometric assessment and came to a conclusion or the suggestions or the guidance to the point where the child will do well anything that is related to hands-on, equipment oriented work, which is eventually driving towards engineering as an academic pursuit. Right? That's one path this girl has been recommended with. Now the other recommendations were made since the child is very much involved in music and those fine arts as a backup option. We made also I made the recommendations of pursuing fine arts as another academic path to take that as a backup plan, because the willingness of choosing an fine arts as an academic path versus engineering is always less, because most students and parents or the societal situation is most of us would prefer to go through the engineering route, because that is how it has been painted as a picture to us. It's as a paradigm, I would say. But nevertheless, this is how it happened. But now at the end of that conversation, one key question this parent has asked: okay sir, fine arts, that means pursuing the career in music or other interests the child is very good at, is one option, but we'll talk about it later. But we want to first talk about the engineering option, which is more of a hands-on equipment oriented. Many electronics type of engineering disciplines would suit the child very well. That was the recommendation being made. Now the key question that the parent asked was, which coaching institute should I let my child join in if she has to crack any engineering entrance examinations? Well, this is the common question I come across whenever I go talk to a 10th grader, 11th or 12th grader. Which coaching institution, what is the order of that priority between IITs, NITs, BITS, Philanis, and so on and so forth. Now, I'm not representing any coaching institute, or I have nothing against any coaching institute. I claim myself as an unbiased career mentor. So my objective is to well inform the parents and child about the pros and cons, so that you empower them, you enable them to make a well informed career decision. So that's the whole idea. Now I have weighed the options, the pros and cons of with coaching and without coaching. I'm talking about coaching for an to crack an entrance examination, whether it could be JEE, it could be BITSAT, or it could be any other engineering entrance examination for that matter. The options I weighed showed them are the pros and cons with coaching and without coaching. And it is quite obvious, with coaching it makes highly sensible to prepare the child towards the examination pattern. So it becomes easy. Not that students who doesn't have coaching are not qualified or not eligible to crack those entrance examinations. There are examples on either side. With coaching, people have did well, and without coaching also some of them have done well, reasonably well. So it is nothing to do to go for it or not to go for it. It is the pros and cons, the weighing the options. So I've given them the options, and I've also informed a wise advice upon their request. It's basically, see to that you send your child to a coaching center where the child is not too much stressed upon, because some of those popular coachings for the engineering is primarily which I have heard and seen and shared some experiences from the students and parents. Basically, they focus on the top 10 of the let's say if there are 100 people who are getting coached for an IIT, JEE, to crack JEE, there are top 10 always in the classroom, isn't it? So the focus will go more on them, and the rest of the 90 are continuously pushed to reach that top 10, which is not possible all the time, because you have to deal with them separately. You have to deal with separate tips and techniques with those the rest 90. You cannot you cannot celebrate the 10% success at the cost of 90% of your students, and let them live with a guilt for the rest of their life that they couldn't qualify in the top 10. As a result, they couldn't crack the JEE and get into IITs and NITs. Unfortunately, though some of those most of the coaching centers are taking that approach of focusing on the top 10, because that is what will earn them reputation. That is what will bring them more number of students in the upcoming years, which is purely, they're doing it from it's end of the day, whether we like it or not, and I hate to say this, but education is business at the end of the day. So, and they're doing purely that game, right? So I have, given that comprehensive information, and be judicious. If you have been watching your child right from childhood, take consideration of 8th, 9th and 10th grade, how the child academically has been performing. Can you see that with your intuit, can you see that the child can do well if an additional coaching is performed, or will the coaching become an overhead? It's a pressure to the child. So this is the detailed level of conversation I've brought to the attention of the parents and child. Of course, they are overwhelmed with that analysis, with the details and all that. And they said, thank you so much for that details. We will make the decision, since they have some more time to make the decision whether to send for coaching. If yes, where to send the child for the coaching, for the engineering entrance examination. Now, here is what it has happened. I have informed all the pros and cons to the child. Now the parent has made a choice between pursuing fine arts as a career path versus engineering as a career path, and they choose engineering, obviously, which is no surprise to me. And they decided to send some X coaching center. And that X coaching center is very intense. You have to send your child 7 a.m. in the morning, and they'll come back at around 9 p.m. in the evening. So it is so intense. So now the child, after 3 months, the parent came back to me and said, "Sir, I'm sorry to inform you that my child is not able to cope up with the coaching institute's expectation, or the academic expectations in the coaching institute." Then I said, "What happened?" She is not a bad student. She's a reasonably at that 80-85% and above student on an average. But right now, in the last 3 months, her performance has significantly gone down. She's not able to cope up with the pressure. You did inform us, few months ago or few weeks ago about the pros and cons. Yet I made an informed decision. I took an informed risk. Now I'm thinking, how should I deal with my daughter? How should I help my daughter? I can't let her out of that place, or at the same time I can't let her continue. Even if I have to let her out, why don't you recommend the other options on those fine arts, with music being one of the primary career option? Of course, we had that conversation and then gave them the options. Now, the point, my friends, I'm trying to drive here is: are you informed? Are you making this your decisions in an informed manner or an uninformed manner? If you make an informed decision, then you know what you're going to get out of it. If you don't make an informed decision, you get surprises. Even when you make an informed decision with your gut feel, you take that chance, you may get into a negative consequence. But be prepared for all of those. You make your choice. As mentors and counselors, we can help you make informed. That is what I think. I keep insisting, I keep referring in many of my these episodes, that as a mentor or as a counselor, it is our responsibility to empower you, to enable you to make a right decision. Now, the decision is up to you. I cannot influence you. I cannot put pressure on you to make a decision in one way or the other way. We, as an objective of us as a mentor or a counselor, is to give you an unbiased pros and cons based on the information that is available to us, accessible to us. We don't have to be biased. No, we don't have to favor anybody. We don't have to talk bad about anybody, whether it is a career or it is a coaching institute or a college or a university. But let's go by facts and figures. Let's go by parameters. So the point in this example, my friends, I'm trying to bring to your notice is basically take that informed risk. Then you know what you're going to expect and you're prepared well. But if you don't make that informed decision, at times, even if you make an informed risk, if you take an informed risk, that might turn out costly, that might turn out to be very costly to you. The consequence will be too costly to you or too negative to you to deal with. So be prepared and be well aware of it. So this is one story, one student's example of a similar nature. Now I have another student. Again, this student is from a 10th grade. He is academically highly meritorious, 95+% all the time, right from his high school, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 grades. He has been doing exceptionally well. Now the question is, what career should this child choose? The career conversations happen this way. One option is, obviously the child is very much inclined towards biology as a mainstream subject, and he wanted to strongly consider medicine as one of his career options. But at the same time, the parents are practical enough to understand the intensity or the competition is too high, and this child doesn't have typically falls under no reservation category, and it becomes more intense based on the system requirements. And they wanted to find out what are the alternative careers available for the child, possibly to meet the aspirations of the child of choosing a career in healthcare and medicine. Not necessarily becoming a doctor, which has to go through the NEET exam, which is a national level entrance examination, which we all know, which is an entry criteria for any medicine seat, any medical seat, right, under graduation. Now we discussed about various pharmaceutical or other healthcare and medicine related careers. Not necessarily had to go through NEET or not necessarily had to become a doctor. There are other biology based careers we talked about. That's not the point here. And all went well. And they said eventually they're going to make a decision in the next few weeks whether to let the child pursue NEET as an aspiration or with the biology non-NEET or other one of those other career options. And guess what? It is quite obvious. It is quite tempting. Like any other parent or any other student, they went through the NEET as an aspirational avenue. They want to pursue that, which is suiting the child. And the child is capable. He has the ability and interest towards that, and its personality also suits to become a medical practitioner, largely. This is good. Now the question is, 6 months down the line, the child was admitted in one of the coaching institutions. Again, coaching is a key here. You got to get coached, and the coaching institutions, how the pros and cons I discussed in the earlier example with the student with engineering JEE coaching, right? So here is the NEET coaching, but a similar one. Now the child went on. And what was happening here for the child? This is what the parents have come back down the line few months after they've admitted the child in one of the NEET coaching institutions, one of the reputed coaching institutions. They came back and said, "Sir, our child is not able to cope up with the intense requirement or the coaching what is happening in the coaching institute. Despite the fact that the child is highly academically meritorious, constantly giving performance 95 plus percentage in whatever examination or assessment that does take place. Despite that fact, the child is not able to." Then I asked, "I know your child is academically good, and what do you mean by child is not able to cope up?" Then they came back and said, the child is consistently performing, but in the process of giving that consistent performance, in one of the weekend tests, I mean, of course, every weekend there is a test conducted based on the learnings for that week. In one of the weekend tests, the child could not meet that mark of his previous performance. He could not meet his own benchmark. Now guess what? There is a physical and verbal. You are hearing this right, my friends. As parents, I want you to make note of this and be judicious and be cautious about this. There was a physical and a verbal abuse on the child by one of the concerned people in the coaching institution, which the child could not take, he could not bear. He only opened up after a couple of abuses that took place. Now the parents were cutting a sorry face, saying that, "No, did we do injustice to our child to let the child get there? And it is already halfway through. Neither they can quit completely nor they can continue. They are in a fix." But eventually, as a family, they sat together and decided they want to change the branch of that institution, at least by which there is a people change and there is a locality change, there is a location change, there is an environment change, so that the child could adjust to the new environment, to the new faculty over here, a different faculty over here. So that's the decision they have made. But here the point I'm trying to let you know, my friends, is basically, do be ready, do take that informed risk. When you weigh the consequences, the pros and cons of coaching and not coaching, of coaching which institution, choosing a right one, do that groundwork judiciously. See, we cannot represent somebody, and I personally don't believe in representing somebody, in recommending somebody, because that is a biased information. And we may not know the internal facts and figures most of the time. And we've been seeing and witnessing so many occasions where the same student who secured a high rank in NEET or JEE is being claimed by multiple institutions, multiple coaching institutions, by stating that this student is being trained and coached by us. The same student is being coached by so many institutions, and we have been seeing those incidents time and again, which is not a fair thing, isn't it? So we know how this coaching industry works, but without coaching, they does a decent job. I have nothing against it. They does a decent job in coaching the students. If not them, who else? But for the people which is working for many of the students, it is working for them because of these coaching institutions and the faculty, their hard work, isn't it? But as a parent, it is very important to take that chance, to make that informed decision. Take an informed risk. Be well aware about the consequences. Because if you have to choose between a career and your child's life, your child's career and a child's life, and I'm sure every sensible parent will choose the child's life over their career, isn't it? But of course, it will be more than happy life with a good career, isn't it? But when it comes to that point, you want to let your child get abused in the coaching institute for not giving consistent performance, or you want to let your child not being able to cope up and completely drop the performance? The choice is yours. So this is why I call this as an informed risk, informed career decision, where the decisions, the milestone decisions towards the career journey, towards the career destination, they are also highly important. They are very crucial, my friends, especially for parents. Children may not be aware of that. They get influenced. If their group of friends are going to one institution, they say that, no, I'll also go to this institution. right? But as parents, talk to people, do your groundwork, look at the viability, see what suits best. That's how the right way, the only way any parent could make a right informed decision or take that informed risk. But by the way, I'm constantly in touch with both the students. They were later able to manage. See, there is a difference between managing and doing well. They are later able to manage and they are going ahead in their journeys, in their respective journeys. And one student couldn't get to these IITs, but she took the engineering student I talked in the beginning. She took the BITS Filani as a second option, and she was able to get there. And the other student soon is going to give the NEET exam, and we're going to see those results and then how that is working. But that is secondary. But they are only able to manage. It is not a pleasurable journey for them thus far. It is a painful journey at some point, rough patches. So my friends, as fellow parents, please take those informed risk very judiciously. Plan your risk. Take that risk very informed. If you are doing so, then you still have to face some consequences which you may not know. But if you take that risk which you don't know at all, without any planning, then it will be more damaging. So be judicious, be wise. So let us enable, empower our children in making those decisions, my friends. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this was a lengthy conversation or an experience and I did share. Thank you so much for listening and watching these, and I hope to see you sometime soon with another experience. Do take care. Thank you.